A very good evening to you wherever you're tuning in from. Thank you for using Y254. This is Y Discussion with me. My name is Ram AGUKO. At Ram AGUKO on all social media platforms. This is the best discussion that you can have each and every Monday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. It is all about matters, current affairs. And tonight it is all about the ongoing discussion that is online, that is currently on your screens, the Gikomba market fire. Now, following the Gikomba market fire, how prepared do you think the country is, and as a nation, as citizens, are we when it comes to disaster management? How prepared are we when it comes to disaster management following the ongoing discussion that is the Gikomba market fire? 22162 is the number. Engage with us. Talk to us, starting with the word Y News with the number 22162. On our Twitter handle at Y254 channel and at Y254 on Facebook. Following the Gikomba market fire, how prepared are we on disaster management? At Ram AGUKO, the hashtag is Y254 updates. I'm joined in studio by one next to me, Karl Max Odhiambo. You know him. He will give you the best English that you can ever hear, that you will never find actually in your dictionary. He is a governance expert. Welcome, Karl Max.
Thank you so much.
Next to him is Sarah Munyi, who is a motivational speaker and a businessman and an entrepreneur. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Ram.
And Areba Moyo, the legal expert in studio. Karibu sana, Jatelo.
Always a pleasure.
Now, first things first, when it comes to disaster management, preparedness, do you think we were ready? Gikomba market fire is not an issue that is new to our ears. It is not something that has happened just for the first time. It has happened before in the recent past. How prepared are we? Karl Marx, starting with you.
Thank you, Ram. Disaster management in simple individuation, I think we put it clear that it's about the readiness for the unexpected. But my worry is that we are not prepared as a country. And this is something that we need not actually lie about or try to put it or maybe forget about the whole issue. This is what I can say about it. One, if you look into the obsolete or maybe redundant machines that we use, or the equipment or the machinery within this nation, we cannot do anything when it comes to fire. And it is not only fire. Talk of drought, talk of floods, any other given disaster, we are not prepared as a country.
As a country, we are not.
We are not prepared.
And so, are there laws and regulations when it comes to such kinds of preparedness? As a governance expert, don't you think that the government should have been prepared a long time ago?
Just as a surprise for you, in Kenya as a nation, we doesn't have anything in terms of the policy of disaster management. Go and check within the constitution and any other given act. In fact, it is the Nairobi County, City County that tried this thing by 2015 under the Bill of Disaster and Emergency and also the Fire Services. That they were to pass a bill by the 2015 and that didn't even happen. So if you look under all the disasters, it is even fire that is treated as the minor. As a minor mishap, those are major catastrophes. So therefore, we run away from what is actually killing, injuring, destroying the properties, and also loss of economy in this country in the name of we don't want to care about it. So if we get a county that has not realized that it is fire that has been actually making them to lose a lot, then still we are going to face a lot.
Sarah, are we prepared?
Well, first you have to allow me to convey my condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones.
Yes,
I mean, it's really sad and painful. Yeah, but we have a problem in terms of disaster preparedness. But because this is not, and in fact, someone was making a comment that now the Gikomba fires have become a cultural festival. It's like we have to go it year in, year out.
And it's very sad, by the way.
It is very sad. But then I think in terms of policy, in terms of even having like fire scares, you know, just that kind of preparedness, I don't think we are doing enough. But then there are many other issues that go into issues and especially Gikomba, because we usually have a lot of illegal power connections. So as much as the government or KPLC will try and really do their part, but the problem I'm finding is also with the residents of Gikomba market, because there's a lot of illegal power connections there.
So you would blame the residents for having an illegal power connection to
I do not want to blame them. I really do not want to blame them. But the thing is that these things, and they are well advised that they shouldn't be having these illegal connections, but they contribute a lot because they're not professionally installed. They contribute a lot into some of these disasters that we get ourselves into.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now come to Areba. The Nairobi County Disaster and Emergency Management Act, Karl Marx has said that it is not working. It has not yet been implemented. What do you think about the preparedness of the country?
The preparedness of Nairobi County or the country at large to deal with disasters is not inconvenienced by the lack of laws. Rather, it's not that by the virtue that we do not have any laws that are actively prescribing the manner in which disasters are supposed to be dealt with is the main reason why then we have that vacuum. I wouldn't really take that school of thought that that is the main reason why. Coming to your main question, whether as a country really we are prepared, as my sister said here, is that an issue like Gikomba, the floods, these are cultural festivals, which then we have to wait until when they're coming, so that then we can activate the National Disaster Management, the NYS, the City Council, NEMA, and sometimes even Scouts to be able now to come up with reactionary measures. I'm thinking that as a country we probably need to rethink the space in which the disaster preparedness occupies in our country. Some of my friends were saying earlier in the day that sometimes in this country, if you happen to be in any major disaster, maybe from an accident, from an airplane crash, then you have to be sure that you will die. Because the way that the people around it respond to that, they respond with a lot of contempt. That is why you will hear that one of the fire trucks that was responding to the disaster didn't have water. I'll take a second to be able to, sometimes I was in the coast in Diani and a fire happened to be, a fire scare was in one of the malls. The county of that place, fire engine came an hour later. Then I tried to engage the driver on what happened. He told me, I had to go get permission to drive out the engine. Then secondly, it didn't have fuel, so I had to pass by the petrol station to get fuel. Then thirdly, when we were on our way here, we realized we don't have fuel.
Wow.
So you realize that we treat disaster responsiveness with a lot of contempt. It's like we don't care.
And as a country, it is sad. When you look at the pictures on your screen, that is a fire that took place. And it makes us wonder if at all such incidences are being catered for. You would realize that the people who are supposed to be helping the public servants, who are supposed to be taking care of the fire, are not there. In the Gikomba market, we had street children and volunteers without training or equipment who put their lives on the line to rescue people trapped in buildings after the fire broke out. So who should be held accountable for such failure of public service?
I think we need to we had this conversation a few weeks ago and talked about the way we have agencies that are supposed to take care of this. We talked about the National Disaster Management, which was officialized via an executive notice sometimes back like 10 years ago, which is heavily funded. In fact, we have the Nairobi county government, which again under the governor's office, which has a 4.5 billion budget. The disaster responsiveness is under it. But then is it disaster management? Is it all about getting the machinery? No, it's not about. Have we taken these people through even a drill, just in case of something, then they're able to know how to respond to it. So we need to actively develop a clear policy that guides on how we respond to these disasters. Otherwise, we are going to be making noise, and my condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones and the guys who have lost their property. But unless we really come up and say, hey, we need a change of things, this is going to be a cultural festival, an annual one, and then we are going to come here and always have a discussion around it.
Who should put a stop to this cultural festival?
Basically, let me first of all point out that the independency of now the fire management, disaster management team, first of all, they are under the governor's office. That is squarely within the governor's office.
Yes.
In fact, the budget comes from that. But the problem is that they are not, actually they are working under some given restrictions that before anything, they will have to consult a wider channel.
There's a lot of
bureaucracy before you even engage to the second level. Let me tell you one thing. You know, when you have the machines that, for example, water. Water is one of the most crucial, one of the most requirement when it comes to fire. But how do you want to convince me that within a period of 1 hour, we are still waiting for the tanks to be filled for you to go and help or maybe salvage or mitigate such given situations? So when we start with that, there is a problem. Get to the fire engine there. You will realize that the location itself does not serve well when there is an emergency. Why did we decide to put, the fire station to be within a CBD? And then within the CBD that you cannot even access any other road again, except when there is too much traffic, it's not flowing.
That's a good question. Why 2262 is our service line. Should the location of the fire service station be changed? 2162 is the number.
I was to top up, huh?
You are to top. Hold on. I want to engage a few of my guests, my viewers, yeah? Because you've said something here that I would like to engage, if you'd allow me. 2262 is the number starting with the word Y News. 2262. Our Twitter handle is on at Y254 channel and at Y254 on Facebook. Because Nimona hapo Kalmax akona jambo hapo hivi, you are burning with fire, I will allow you to burn.
Yes. There is what we call the international standards of the fire stations. First of all, a fire station is supposed to be with a minimum, or at least, let me use the word at least, 5 fire brigades within a catchment population of 200,000 persons. And therefore, anything above that, they cannot serve. Second to that, you must also understand that there is a budget crisis in this. Because when you wait for the governor to give out this money in terms of his office, then we are going to miss it. Because the governor might not even be interested so long as there is no emergency at that given moment. But this needs to have its own allocation. So that in case of anything, the fact that it's an emergency, it needs not to be a fund that we go and request. It needs to be waiting for that emergency to come. So the preparedness here will also be another question. And then there is lack of training. All these people you see around who are fighting these fires, they don't understand anything they're doing.
I think you cannot clearly state that. I mean, which information are you using? I mean, we have fire marshals. I'm not really holding brief for Nairobi County.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that assumption that everybody that you see in the fire helmets and everything, they don't have the knowledge. I mean, I will say that maybe they don't have up-to-date skills, but really saying that they don't know. I mean, are you better? Are you better in fighting fires than
Are
them?
the volunteers better than those people who are the firefighters?
If the volunteers could work much better than the trained, so what word will you use?
I mean, what I'm trying to say is that you made
I think what usually happens.
Now, let me.
What point of information are you using?
Yes,
you made an assumption.
You see, what usually happens, I think, let me continue.
Let me talk.
I think what usually happens when there are these kind of disasters, whether it's floods or a building has come tumbling down, is that the residents, the people around, will be the first ones to respond. Before you get the city council or these firefighters, it will be these people that will respond with whatever material that is, whether it's water, bricks, malware, everything. Yes, they will respond. So I think also in terms of inspection to some of these things, even the buildings at this market, because this is not the first time, I think even in terms of inspection, we have inspection officers that usually go around checking the fire, the electricity connections, and how well we are prepared down there in our markets. I think that's an issue that we really need to look into. And then also it should come out in the report, because I believe there should be a report somewhere. And then also in terms of how well our officers are trained, I think that is still really wanting, because for sure if we had those for the counters coming and they don't even have water, and the residents are the one who are coming with water, who looks trained, who looks knowledgeable, who looks professional.
Those who come with water, they're residents.
I think really my point that I was trying to bring out is that the people who do this, the people who are employed and given the responsibility to be able to put out these fires, I wouldn't really say that they don't know what they're doing. The problem is, which level of protocol do they have to pass through before they jump onto the fire truck? We've seen them making very good responses when we have been having issues before. That does not mean that they are perfect. One of the clear issues that he said is that, can we have decentralization of these fire stations. We do not have to depend on fire trucks having to drive out of town. When there's traffic, I mean, they're going to struggle. But then, do we have the goodwill for that to be done from the political angle? Because you realize that all this, if it's the National Disaster Management, I believe it's clearly put under the Ministry of Interior, if I'm not very wrong. Then under the Governor's office, that is now when it comes to the county levels, do the people in those offices have that willpower that indeed we need to empower these departments to work? Those are the questions we need to bring up.
That is Areba Omoyo, legal expert, Sarah Munyi, motivational speaker and entrepreneur, and Karl Marx Odhiambo himself, the governance expert. 22162 is our number. Starting with the word Y News. What do you think, following the Gikomba fire outbreak, do you think that as a country we are ready to solve? Are we ready to fully manage disasters that we have? 22162 is our SMS line. Starting with the word Y News. On Twitter at Y254 channel, on Facebook at Y254, and at myself, Ram Aguko. The hashtag is Y254 updates. We shall take this short break because there is still a lot to deal with, because even disaster management has different categories. We have man-made disasters, natural disasters, but more on this. Do not go away. More are coming for you. Keep it Y254.
Y254. Imagine.
Kama kawaida, this is
The Buzz.
tuko na vitu noma, interview after interview.
After interview.
Ilichukua time kufika hapo, lakini ilikuwa wapi?
But Maisha just gave me that platform and just, pushed me outside and made my face visible.
You know, when you are born again and you're doing gospel music, it's not just about singing. It's not just about, wimbo kuhit or watu wamefurahia wimbo napatikana kujulikana. It's about winning souls.
Yeah, I mean the music video.
Yeah, Dusnyao.
Shout out to the cypher na hip hop culture.
And then watu wengi feel na wa intimidate actually because wako dem anakanza piga ngumi, wazenda kumwambia kitu wako why, yo, I'm so chilled out, but can you say hi?
Call me Bibi Ndegwa.
And I'm Mike Gitai, and this right here
Is The Buzz.
It's Bensi again. Uwe na kobole amano.
T.
Umekunywa uji amako.
Fi.
Una mablings zimefika kwa mago.
T.
Machoni pake sote tuko
Similar.
similar kali kabisa. As you can see, Ben C again amekuja tena kwa The Buzz Y254.
Yes, and you can't afford to miss this particular show on The Buzz. Tuko na vitu moto by the way. Have you ever had a video vixen being sat down for an interview?
Ngoja kwanza. Boychel, usishtuke sana, si Huda na kuja Mavera.
Yes.
It's a guy.
When you do it professionally, people will take you serious.
Yeah. We also have a photographer with us that Tuesday.
Mr. 2K.
Yes.
My mom told me you can do something else other than engineering.
Tuesday 7:30, Koso Chekwe.
Yes.
Kose. It's Bensi again. Similar.
Tuko similar.
Y254. Imagine.
Of course, ready we are. Thank you for choosing Y254. We are back with more of this discussion concerning disaster management. Following the Gikomba market fire, are we ready when it comes to disaster management? As a country, as Kenyans, are we ready? Do we have the laws, the regulations? Do we have the personnel when it comes to dealing with the disaster? Before we went for this break, I said that there are different kinds of disaster. This Gikomba market, is it a natural one, or is it man-made? Is it something that came out of something, but we are putting this into question? On set is Karl Max Odhiambo, who is a governance expert, Sarah Munyi, an entrepreneur and a motivational speaker, and Areba Moyo, who is a legal expert. Follow us on Twitter at Y254 channel, on Facebook at Y254. The hashtag is Y254 updates. Keep the conversation going on our SMS line. That is at 22162, starting with the word Y News. Now, the governor for Nairobi County, Honorable Mike,
who lives in Machakos.
You're debating in Nevada, but he said that he requested that the DCI to probe the Gikomba market fire. Would you think that that move was a wise move? Would you think that there is something within this fire? There are claims that maybe there are cartels and that cannot be proven whether it is real or
Even
not.
the issue of insurance. I had a very interesting discussion in one of the TV stations yesterday in the morning, and the discussion was of the effect that there are people who have taken premiums on their goods. So whenever they see that the stock is becoming redundant, then they inflict those fires, so that then at the end of the day, they're able to claim. That is one of the theories. The second theory is that there is a lot of jostling for space in the market themselves. Whenever these fires come and then rebuilding starts, then there are some people who are edged out in one way or another. And that is why there was another communication that rebuilding should not start until then it paves up for modern fire. Then there is always the discussion of business gangs and business rivalry. I remember that such a time when the fire happened last, we still had, I think it's the PS who said that we are going to investigate and see whether this is a man-made disaster so that then we can take appropriate action. But was the investigation ever made public? I really doubt. So I think these are just voice bites. I mean, by the end of next week we'll have forgotten. I mean, we forgot about the water. That is the nature of our country. I mean,
wow.
Sadly.
Powerful word from Areba. Government, Gikomba market traders were barred from rebuilding stalls to pave way to a modern market. Now, is it now the reason? Is it that now modernization is a problem? Is it that the stalls that were there were not well equipped? Were they not modernized? So that now we are barring Gikomba market businessmen. You are an entrepreneur who is being barred from building your own stall there at the market. Should they actually be moved into a different location then?
Is it now we are realizing that they were not modern?
As an entrepreneur, for me as a person, as an entrepreneur at Gikomba selling clothes, one of my biggest problems, or one thing that I really need, is space. It is space. And everywhere, like if you see the other market that this other market that was modernized here, you haven't had just near Gikomba, you haven't had any such issues because there is space. For me, I have space between, and then people can come to my stalls, and there is space. So I think modernization and rebuilding will really help. At this point, when we still are investigating, we still don't know the clear cause. Why should we start rebuilding now? And I think for me as an entrepreneur, there at Gikomba, I will understand that. Because I cannot afford to be losing my goods every year into these fires. So I think I would pave way to a report, and then also probably consider even other places that I can go and put out, because I have to be in business, I have to feed my family. So I think it is very important that we really look into rebuilding so that we create more space, and we also, we also have something modern down there.
I'm wondering whether this market should be moved to a different location. As Gikomba.
Not even a different location. That location is perfect. It is all right.
But
it is only the organization. It is the organization of the market. Everything is everywhere. You have no place even to move my goods there, even with a car. It's a problem. Even I'm Kokoteni, it is a problem. I think organization works. Things thrive in an orderly way. And I don't think that we have any much organization going down there. That is why when something small sparks, if there is mud here, there is mud there, there is mud there, in a spark of like 5 seconds. So I think it's very important, because you see the thing with rebuilding these stores is that they'll be more organized, and that will solve some of these problems a big deal.
Karl Max, have you ever been to Gikomba?
That's a Karl Marx.
I mean, have you ever been together? Because I know it's going to really bombard us on the way we don't know how things work. So probably you should just start with whether he has been to Gikomba or not.
And also for the record, a fact is that some of the fire brigades were not able to access the fire
You
point.
cannot be able to access Gikomba with a, even she's saying,
that's true.
Even with Mkokoteni, it's not possible.
So first of all,
answering his question, have you been to Gikomba?
Been to Gikomba?
Anytime you're doing research, you must always access any part of this country. So I've been to Gikomba. Now, you know, disaster management, you know, is a trait and a Chelsea. That when it comes to now dealing with the main problem, we always run away from the truth.
I beg your pardon?
I'm saying a disaster management in this country is a trait and a Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Yes.
Okay.
That when it comes to now dealing with it, people will always not deal with the main problem. Now, first of all, when we talk of, I mean, the location, there is no problem with Gikomba where it is. When we come to the spacing, it's about now what we call the, I hear people use the word cartel. It's about just allocating these people without considering their safety. So that you will have a number. Because I'm asking myself, now we have the governor, who each and every time anything could happen in this country, in this county, he will always appear. Where did he go?
I mean,
Where has he been?
it's not his responsibility to be appearing everywhere there's a fire.
No, the question is...
There were officers from his office.
The question is, do you know that when it comes to fire, that falls squarely in his office?
I mean, I don't dispute that.
Very good. So what I'm asking is that, now that such given a magnitude of a problem is reoccurring, what do we do? First of all, can we make Gikomba to have a space that is one accommodating the people that are doing businesses there? And then, is there safety? In terms of when there is any problem, there is accessibility to the place.
True.
Second thing, can we now make sure that we decentralize all the fire brigades to, to each and every constituency? Because with the population that we have in Nairobi, it is worth 200,000 per almost every constituency. So that we can actually mitigate these problems before they occur.
Now,
and by the way, with early warnings, when we have maybe smoke detectors, these things we can actually contain them. Things like sprinklers, these are things that need to be within each and every given buildings. Things like smoke barriers, or maybe we talk of even water. In so many buildings, there are, we have so many buildings that even water you cannot even see. So in case of such problems, how do you even actually mitigate such problems? So I think coming to the solution to this problem, one, it is high time. Now we as a country, we need to see fire, we need to see death, we need to see injuries and destruction of property as a major problem that must be catered and must be dealt with in holistic way.
Now let me just get something here first of all. Recommendations. Disaster management is a topic that you can talk about day in, day out. There is an act that is already there and we don't know what's happening, but we have to give recommendations, starting from you as we wind up.
We live in a country that has a lot of can I call it, a lot of contempt for its citizens.
Yes.
A lot of contempt when it comes to lives, a lot of contempt when it comes to property.
Yes,
and that is why when we see such a discussion that we lost 17 lives, I mean, after 1 week it will be normal life will be rebuilding and will be forgotten and we'll move on. I think we need to now start really thinking and saying, hey, each life matters. You see developed countries and developing countries, you'll have one citizen life lost and people take political responsibility. I mean, here, it's business as usual. You're probably sleeping in your house and you're the head of disaster management and you're told, Gikomba is on fire and you're told, I'll come tomorrow. I mean, that is the kind of contempt that we have in this country. And unless, as the citizens, we come out and say, hey, we don't want this mediocrity, then these annual festivals and these annual deaths are going to be there. And there's really nothing much that is going to be done. So we need to rise up and say, hey, these are our taxes that are allocated for this. We need to see them working. And as people, we also need to accept guidance. When we are told that this is the right thing to do, let's also bow down and say, hey, this is for our safety. And we agree. That is what I'll say for now.
It makes me wonder then who is to be blamed when it comes to such kinds of disasters. But let me get your recommendation, Sarah.
Yes, I think it's very important as entrepreneurs, we come as an association in an organized way and have meetings with the government, maybe even with the county government, and get to say our problems, what we think will work for our market as businessmen here in this city. there needs to be more of those meetings, because they'll solve many of these things that usually happen. As I said, one of the things, we can sit here and blame the government, you know, here, the whole show, but as he mentioned something, but although it's a claim that, you know, some of them, you know, they have taken insurance, and, you know, you just want to, you know, you want some, you want to be refunded some money.
But so far, it is just a claim.
I mean, it's a claim.
It's a claim. No evidence.
I don't have evidence about that.
Yes, I know. It's a claim, but these things actually happen. Then there's also the other thing that I mentioned, that you find that, you know, they have illegal power lines. So it's very important that these meetings, you know, take place more regularly. Because when there's no communication much with the government, then we'll always be beating the government on our own faults sometimes. And then the other thing that should really happen is inspection. Inspection is very important, and we really need integrity, because we can have inspectors who usually go there, they're given 1 or 2, you know, shillings, a few shillings, and then, you know, they just say, you know, they write a report that they never, you know, they never actually carried a survey. So inspection will really also help, but then also the decentralization of these firefighting mechanisms, we really need it. We need it there, since it has happened here. Why do we still have that that fire brigade here at you know, in a place where it's really very far away? And then also the other thing that will be very important, the development will create an avenue where now these the roads, you know, the restructuring, the rebuilding will create an infrastructure where now these canters, the firefighting canters can even pass through.
Sure.
Can even pass through. So that would be very important.
Sure.
Karl Marx.
Solution number one, I think internationally, I told you the standard is we must have 1 fire station, minimum 5 fire brigades within a catchment of population of 200,000 people. Decentralize the fire brigades to the constituencies. Thereby, it will help within a given square kilometers of that given firefighters. Third thing, it is high time we give a budget for the fire and let it be an emergency fund that will be running that given docket as an independent body.
So we discriminate that now we are dealing with fire only.
No, I'm trying to, okay, as much as it's a disaster, now can we put it that within the fire and all that, we have to allocate so that there will be no crisis in terms of the budget. Then, when we talked of skills and also knowledge, we need to do thorough training for our fire brigades. So that, in case of all this, it's not about claims of so-and-so didn't tell me this and all that. When it comes to life, there is no procedure. When it comes to life, there is no what we call the bureaucracy. It is high time now we exercise professionalism when we are dealing with the lives of people. Then third, lastly, I think we need now well-equipped machines and machinery that will actually now be up to date, because we talk of sophistications of our equipment and the radio frequencies.
That is Karl Marx Odhiambo, a governance expert, Sarah Munyi, motivational speaker and entrepreneur, Areba Omoyo, a legal expert. Thank you guys for coming. I would like to wind up the show, but you have been an awesome people, an awesome panel.
Ram, have you been to Gikomba? Have you ever been to Gikomba?
Yes. That's where I normally buy my shoes.
I buy my shoes from London, but I collect them from Toy Market.
22162 is our SMS line, starting with the word Y News. 22162 is our number, starting with Y News. Tell us what you think. Let me just read but one. Someone here is saying that, hey Ram, I love the discussion. The disaster management discussion is good. Please let us be accountable because lives are being lost. All right, thank you for that comment. I'm not able to read anymore because time is not on our side. I would like to wind up the show and hand it over to Y Mashariki with the one and only presenter Ali and DJ Tieska on the deck, who shall entertain you with the best of entertainment music from eastern sides of Africa. My name is Ram AGUKO. You can call me the really amazing man at Ram AGUKO on Facebook, Twitter, on all social media platforms. At Y254 channel on Twitter, at Ram. Hey, nimesema Ram tena, si ndio? At Y254 on Facebook. The hashtag is Y254. Have a good night. May God bless you.